Hey, what's up, guys? Back here with another one, and as always, we got very special guest, Mr. E. Um, and today, we're actually going to talk about how to be a part of the solution, not the problem. So, welcome back, Mr. E. Good to see you, as always.
I'm so glad to be here. So glad to be here, and I appreciate the offer to join you here. And I just found out what our topic is. So the topic today is the solution. I, t- I was like, let's just keep it. I don't want to think about it. I just want to show up, and then whatever comes out, comes out. So glad to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always the best way. Um, a lot of people watch a lot of things, and obviously, you can tell if they're very scripted or whatever. But me personally, and we've had some conversations, and you're kind of the same way. So we just like to flow in the moment of things and see what direction things go.
Yeah. And we're always looking for a new perspective on things. We want to continue to polish the lens of our awareness, our perception of the world. My work recently has turned into the demonstration of this in some respects in a way that I never could have dreamed of before. I've been writing about the perfection of our creation, of God's creation, for a long time, 10 years perhaps, maybe 15 years, I guess. Anyway, it was all new to me when it started coming across my thing, but we're looking at life completely backwards. We're looking at it from cause to effect when we really ought to look at it from an effect to cause. So we're going backwards in time rather than forwards in time. We're remembering, we're not creating. We're remembering what we created before, and we're remembering what the solutions are to the situations that we agreed that we were going to solve on Earth as the human populace.
Yeah, it can always get very interesting, especially the more people that get added to the experience too, and difference of perspectives there with different all the different people and there's so many perspectives. That's just the point exactly. Like um, somebody could say, well, like we'll just say you had a washing machine and it broke, right? Some be like, oh man, there's always something going on. And then, seeing the higher perspective, I guess you could be like, well, about to go wash now I'm going to have to wash my clothes. Let's just say at a laundromat, right? Now that may open you up to actually get some social interaction and to meet somebody that shifts your entire life, right? So that's the solution instead of looking at it through the lens of a problem all the time. Um, so
Well,
yeah,
we're actually, it's like the people don't need fixing on this planet. It's our perception of that needs correction. But there's nothing wrong with the people. We're just seeing everybody wrong, including ourselves. We change our seeing the way we look at it. We look through these eyes with onto a forgiven world, and we see that everybody's innocent and learning. And people get all crazy about stuff like this. They're like, you can't bypass the wars. It's amazing. Like, we're addicted to conflict. We're addicted to looking at it. We're addicted to um, watching movies about it, talking about the news about it, talking about the travesties in the world, talking about it. And there's got to be a different way of looking at it and seeing. So if we focus on anything, what we've done is we've engaged the creative sight, our minds with creation. Whatever we focus on, whatever our eyesight is on, whatever we accept as a fixed image into our mind, we are then broadcasting that and projecting that out into the experience of life. So that's how it's really working. But the way most people see it is they see something, they make up their mind about it, and then that making up their mind, they're projecting that. And so the world itself becomes a recreation of what is held in the mind. So it's whatever you're holding in the mind is how the world is going to replicate itself through your vision. And the more people that see with crystal clear vision or Christ vision, the more power we give to the true reality, and the more people who are coming at the world from a place of or an orientation of sin, or it's broken, or it's just a messed up place, then we reinforce that as well. So it's tricky because we're such powerful manifestors and creators, and yet at the same time we're all in an agreed experience that these things are happening. What's our approach? What is the solution?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, had a little technical difficulties here, I guess, with my camera, but whatever. Nothing I can really do about it.
We know you're here. I just didn't know you were here until that moment. I didn't know if I was talking into dead space or not.
Oh no, no, no! I'm here. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. Today I've been having some issues with this. I was gonna just if I just use my laptop um, camera, probably would have been a better solution. But I like to use this external camera that I have. But I don't know. For some reason, it's just giving me an issue today. So, no big deal.
You want to start over? We're only 7 minutes in.
Oh no, no need to start over. I honestly, I don't even know what's going on with the camera, so I wouldn't even. I would. Yeah, it's not even worth it to be honest. Who knows? It may just come back on later. I really couldn't tell you.
All right. Well, we'll just roll with it. We'll just roll with it. So, there's so many things that have gone down on this planet, and people. We believe we're traumatized as a society, and because we believe it, we are, and we believe all this stuff happened, and so. And I'm not saying we have to look away at that. What I'm saying is that we have to forgive it, because when we forgive, then our mind doesn't need to go back to the past and have a regret about it or a grievance about it or feeling bad about it. And so if we can really bring ourselves in the present moment, which is to really understand that the world is forgiven and it only exists in this present moment. And the more people that join that present moment, we're creating a reality that can't carry the past or be worried about the future. You can only be worried about the future or upset about the past if you're not living in the now moment. So if you're really in the now moment, it means that you have forgiven the world and you have turned over your trust into God or intelligence, Jesus, doesn't matter, whatever your belief system is, it's your own certainty that dictates this path. If I'm certain that I can carry a joyful outcome going forward because that is my internal natural state. So I'm going to choose a happy outcome to everything. I'm going to see the world as a perfect mirror of divine love. And if I see anything in that perfect mirror of divine love that shows up in my life that I don't like, I can catch myself immediately and say, wow, I just saw a judgment. Let me turn that around and appreciate what I'm seeing in the mirror of life right now. I'm noticing that I'm sad about this war. Let me go inside and feel my tears and grieve about this. I just noticed I got in a fight with somebody. That means I fell asleep for a little while. I got out of the present moment. I made up a mistake. I made up I miscreated an idea that they were a threat or something was wrong with them, and that somehow being aggressive or telling them off was going to make things better. But now I see that I'm trying to control. Okay, so if I'm trying to control, then what I need to do is remember that life isn't serious. I can be playful with life. Now I'm not trying to control it. I can be appreciative of all these characters rather than taking them personally. So those are the two things that we really mess with as human beings, is if we get over involved with trying to control life to not experience what's unpleasant. And we also judge everything that we see. It's unbelievable what we allow our minds to get into, to say right, wrong, the rest of it. If you really freed up from judgment by just loving everything unilaterally, appreciating everything unilaterally, guy comes up, steals everything you have, bless him, thank him. That kind of response to life is possible. Oh my gosh, he must have just relieved me of something that I didn't need anymore. And now I get to demonstrate that whatever I need shows up in the journey of life anyway. So developing absolute trust about how this process of manifestation is always creating itself. And the more that you're in the present moment, the more powerful the manifestation power is, because in the present moment, there is no reference to failure or scarcity or anything like that either. So the solution is the present moment. The solution is to do what you can to train your mind to be a servant of the heart, rather than having your wants and desires, which are coming from the mind, and also your grievances and your problems that your arguments you have with the world. All we're doing when we see arguments and problems is we are throwing them out onto the theatrical screen of our life and then engaging with them as though they're real. But we did it. We projected it out there. That's how powerful we are. So if we understand the law of one and how creation really works, and we don't really have to cast any blame or anything anymore, because if we're doing that, then we're seeing an unforgiven world. We want to come back to the present moment. Go, no, I'm just here. I know everybody's learning. I know we're all working this out, and everybody can eventually get to this present moment where we're free of all the isms. We're free of all the judgments. We're free of all the control devices. And the more people that join that present moment, we do not even can create. It doesn't become like, okay, now we're together in the present moment. What do we want to create? No, it's not like that. It's you come to the present moment, and the present moment creates something new for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you hit on something very, very important that I do want to talk about too when it comes to the solution is the mind. The mind is the most powerful thing that we actually have in this incarnation, life, whatever you want to call it, right? But not just that, but also the trust, because that's what really, really stops a lot of people is the trust in thyself and spirit, right? And the lack of trust in yourself and spirit and the present moment, all these things actually will determine your outcome all at the same time too, because if you're sitting there in your mind thinking, oh, well, this is just going to happen, well, like you said, yeah, absolutely it is. You're right, absolutely correct, it's going to happen. But if you can reprogram the mind to actually think differently, always to see the higher perspective. And now listen, guys, when I say this, I'm also speaking to myself. you know we all have bad days too. So if you have a bad day, don't get down about that, because that's just the way it is. Nothing goes straight up. We got to literally ride the ebbs and the flows of life. So allow yourself to feel all these things, so that way in the end you can come back to be in that present moment, because then we end up spinning ourselves out of control 95% of the time. We literally spin ourselves out of control when we cannot get a hold and control of the mind.
I mean, getting control of the mind is the name of the game, and it's mainly about how to keep the mind from following a thought that is valueless to us, and becoming discerning enough within oneself to be aware of the process of thought and where it originates as it's happening. So there's God's thoughts, which is really not like thoughts like we think of them as thoughts, but it's a stream of energy that we can connect to, that we connect right through our higher soul. But it goes on up beyond that and into the oversoul of the whole thing. Each one of us has a different code that we're following, a different sort of mission, same purpose, that's to love and to forgive the world, but a little different mission in the way that it wants to express itself. But in that stream of thought, there's no conflict. That's really God's mind. It's not our mind. So all of the one of God is working for the one as individual ones, reflecting the one as a whole. So
Absolutely.
in that, we're all perfectly placed and exactly right on the journey of learning how creation works and what miscreation is. So let's do that, because everybody that comes into a body on this planet, as far as I know, I mean, I'm sure there's been some folks born on this planet that started enlightened and that was just their journey on this planet. But for the most part, we come in and we experience a separation from God, a separation of our mind. And generally what we're taught is a scarce mind. We're conditioned this way. We don't know any different. We're all in the wrong thought system. We're not in a thought system of God necessarily. We're in a thought system of, some people like to call it ego, but it's looking out for the self. It sees two things. It sees good and bad. It's a dualistic way of thinking. It sees rich, poor. It sees all these things, and it likes to divide up and categorize and judge and make right, make wrong, make laws, all that stuff. So in a state of oneness, because we're all part of the one and recognizing that we're part of the one, we just work together. We don't need all the structure, and we don't need the judgment. We don't need the condemnation. We have a different kind of language. Maybe it still sounds like English, but we're not talking about problems, because we know that when we talk about problems, we create the problems. So it's a totally different way of being.
Yeah, it really is. Like, when you can focus on the solution, because let's face it, we all hit speed bumps almost every single day, right? At some point, right? Could be could be a speed bump or could be a pothole, right? And we all hit those every day. But what determines the outcome is, do we focus on that problem or do we focus on that solution? And if we just immediately go straight to finding a solution versus, oh, because you also have that. You'll have people. I've been guilty of it in the past as well, and maybe I will be in the future even. But oh man, I can't believe this. I knew this was going to happen, or something. Like, and you almost kind of get a little victim with it, and like you know, like somebody's done you wrong or what have you. But it's like, nah, it's like, okay, let's just skip all that jazz and let's get straight to the solution, because I'm gonna be wasting time thinking about all these things that shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't, right?
Yeah.
And if we can just get straight to the solution, we can keep on flowing. And
So what
and
is the
it's
solution? The solution then is love, because I mean, it's not every. This is actually right out of A Course in Miracles. This is not even, this. The Course in Miracles says that we create all the problems. There's only one solution. Like I did write about this before I did the Course in Miracles, but I didn't understand it yet. But everything in the world has a reflection, because we're seeing it in dualistic mindset.
Mhm.
So if you have an addiction with heroin or alcohol or cigarettes or whatever it is, and you've got a problem with your father and you're fighting with him all the time, and now you got two problems. I got this problem over here and I got this problem. We don't see that there's the same problem, that actually there's only one solution, and that is love, right? And then when you come to love, you go, oh my gosh, both of these things, my father and the addiction, have the same frequency behind them, and I'm addicted to the conflict of the situation. I'm not going to my father and creating a peaceful state. There's a part of me that every time I'm with him, I'm agitated, and I don't even realize that I've been projecting it onto him, saying he's at fault. No, if you're at fault, if you're involved, and it's your energy system. It's a reflection of you. You can make the correction. Much to your point earlier, stop beating ourselves up and go inside, make the correction, turn the thing around. Remember how much you love your father, and remember how much you love your sobriety, and start working on that angle right there by loving yourself, and see what happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's, I like that. And I think this is going to be really, I think this is going to help a lot of people because, like we discussed before, there's a lot of things going on in the sky right now. So a lot of people are really just going through it. But the good news is it's all for the betterment of themselves and society as a whole. You know, these things have to happen. These things have to come to fruition. There's just no way around it.
Did you have to take a couple of bumps on the head before you learned?
Oh, you have no idea. Like, you have no idea. Not even bumps. Like falling off
Crashing into
cliffs.
stone walls.
Yeah, like literally. Like, oh man, jeez. Yeah, no. It sometimes even the same walls a million times, right? Like,
Yeah.
but that's how we learn. Like that's the beautiful part of everything is once we can actually look back and reflect on and recapitulate all those things that we've already experienced in life. And once we are looking at it through a lens and a higher perspective, we could see the beautifulness of all the things that we've been through. And for some of us, not all of us, but we can see why these things actually had to happen. And, for me, like in my journey, I've had a rough go around with my two parents, right? But you know
Yeah.
what? One thing, this is how it started for me. Like, all right, okay, cool. So I had a rough go around with my parents. So you got a choice here to make, right? You can either let that determine your outcome, or you can be like, okay, well, this happened, but guess what? It's not going to be a determining factor in my future. Let me go ahead and learn from all these moments and all these experiences that I have experienced and alchemize all that in to something way more positive. That way, you know, my future generations, whatever, right? And just to do my best. As long as I can say I did my best, that's all that really matters at the end of the day, you know? Um,
You ever
yeah,
read the book Four Agreements?
I have not actually.
Four Agreements is a terrific book, and it's got four pieces to it. I'm not sure I could rattle it off right now, but one of them is to be totally upfront with the truth. Like your word is your word. Like be completely in integrity, right?
Hmm.
Never break your word. That kind of thing. Another one is don't make assumptions. That's tougher.
Yeah,
Don't assume. And
yeah,
then there's another one which is, you know, nothing is personal. Don't take anything personally. So really all of these agreements that you make and stuff I've written about and the truths that are out there about spirituality takes us away from the personality and to the true essence of the spiritual. And that is, it's interesting. That has greater depth to it, but less personality like we're accustomed to it. It's more of an isness than a wowness, right? And we get carried away with spirituality when the serendipities happen and whatnot. But the truth is, if we look at ourselves, the minute we get carried away with the serendipities, it's actually when we start to fall asleep again, because we're seeing them as a supernatural thing rather than as the occurrence that's happening all the time. In other words, if we could get to the place of going, no, the miraculous is normal. Like if I'm not experiencing miracles in my life, then I'm in the wrong thought system. because God's reality in the present moment, the miracle happens. It has to. There's no resistance to it. Resistance is, how come the miracle hadn't happened? When's the miracle going to happen? Either way, present, future, the miracle doesn't happen in those places. It's like, no, what takes you to get to this moment right now, right here, and be wide open and free with it. Then all of a sudden, things start to happen that I don't care what kind of affirmations you write. I don't care what kind of dreams you have. All that stuff goes out the window. And then life becomes a play. You're the actor in it, and you're going along with the script, and you realize I'm not in control of this thing. I surrendered to God to gain my peace. I surrendered in my forgiveness to God to gain my peace and my neutrality. But once I did that, when now I'm understanding what it really means to have turned my life over to God. It's not mine anymore. And in that, I can still have a lot of fun and enjoy it more from the place of viewing the movie than being the creator of the movie. So that's the reverse relationship of cause and effect and cause. We like to think we can change the movie. We like to think we can write affirmations and have all this wealth or do what it all is. And it's not true at all. Now we can change the trajectory of what is already happening in our life by forgiving and letting go and not getting caught in our mind. And then our path just goes where it's going to with the least amount of resistance because we're out of the way with it. So it really is like an amusement park ride. You're on a roller coaster. You're not doing much. And whatever you need to do, which might be is just buckle up and put your hands up in the air, whatever, is real simple. So when we fall asleep, then life feels like it's hard, it's crazy, and it's wild, and there's all this chaos and all this betrayal. No, when we're in our heart and we're light and free, we're not experiencing any of that resistance, and things are happening on their own accord.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Now can I say that I experience that all the time? No, but one thing I can tell you is currently, um, I've had moments. I've had moments in time that I know what that actually feels like, and let me tell you, from my personal experience with that, there's nothing like it. Like literally, all the magic is in the present moment. Period. Like
I
that's
mean,
literally it.
they just pop off, don't they? It just things start
Yeah,
happening. You're not too surprised, but you're totally delighted at the same time.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like, it's like, oh, cool, cool. Yeah, no, like, like you know, like you, I actually, I go on. You have the mountains, and you're in the
Yeah,
desert, right? But over here
yeah.
in Florida, I have nature, stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of flat here in Florida, so I really don't have mountains or anything like that. But there's a lot of nature trails. I spend a lot of time in nature. Spend a lot of time with trees. Um, and a perfect day to me is getting up, not having to be anywhere at a certain time, not having to do anything at a certain time, and just being.
Mm.
Just literally flowing with the day. Going on my walk, maybe drink a smoothie, eat some food later. Like literally and just let everything happen in the moment. And those are the moments where I've always felt like everything is so magical when that happens because you end up seeing a lot of synchronicities as well in the as long as you can stay in that moment. There's so many signs. The spirit talks to us in many forms and fashions, whether it's through numbers, birds, the way that the trees blow, many things, right? But what it all comes back down to is awareness as well. And we have to be aware. And if we're not aware, then we can't see all these beautiful things and all the magic in the moment, especially when our mind is completely, cluttered up. As a friend of mine says, he likes to call it the mental mind mansion. and that thing gets all clogged up with stuff, and you got all kind of cobwebs in there, and it's not just a free flow of energy. Then a lot of things can happen, and it can take you out of the present moment pretty quickly. But if you practice these things every day, and you try to reprogram that mind daily, you can get to a point where you're always in peace.
It takes that much, my brother. I mean, it's actually a fairly sobering conversation to have. Like it really when you get to levels of not just getting by in spirituality, but being, because here's the spiritual law that nobody really wants to appreciate and look at. Once you have an awakening, you get a glimpse of where you can carry on a natural state of being in the present moment. You get a glimpse of it. You're like, oh my God, everything's synchronized. All right, man. And then bang, dark night of the soul. Your ego pops up and just starts wrestling with you and saying, no, that's true. You got to believe all this other stuff. And you work your way back. If you're diligent, most people just accept that and they quit. But the thing is, just keep going. It's a determination and desire to be free that carries us. So this desire to be free would then say, okay, I'm going to create that time every single day, because if I go to bed and I'm not happy, then what have I gained in this day? Absolutely zero. What I've done is I've ended the day not being happy with the outcome on it. And so then I go to sleep and I program my subconsciousness with unhappy outcomes. And what happens the next day? So we have to cut it off right now, like in the now. Like, I don't tolerate those thoughts for myself. And I choose every single day, even if it gets sideways, to end it in peace. Even if it goes sideways with the people that I love the most, that I am going to make the reparations work now. I'm not going to stay mad for a while, because then I'm giving in that there could be an unhappy outcome. No, if there can only be one outcome and it's a happy outcome and I'm pleasant, happy with my life, which is already my true nature, then I'm just going to accept whatever comes my way. It's a lot easier that way.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean I'm a weak-minded man. It actually means I'm strong. I'm not going to argue with the reality that's being presented to me. The ego tells us that we're creating everything, and the surrendered mind realizes, no, God has given us everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this is a great topic. You did really well on this one, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, brother. Honestly, I didn't even know this. Honestly, so I didn't even know. I was racking my brain. I'm like, man, I am not good at these things. I'm not good at finding topics. And I was like, we could talk about so many things. But then I started thinking about what's going on the outside for people, and just the things I've seen with people just being out in the public and things like that. I figured, you know what? Let's talk about this today, because I think it's
Yeah.
very fitting, especially for the times. And I hope this really finds a lot of people, exactly whoever it needs to. Well, you know what? It's going to. Period. Whoever it needs to find, it's going to find. It's going to touch their soul, and you know they're really going to. I feel that they're going to be a changed individual after hearing some of these things, even if it's just for a moment, right? Um, but it's really interesting. I like this morning. Um, I like to actually, whenever I have my son every other weekend, and sometimes I see him throughout the week too. It just depends on how busy life can be sometimes. But yeah, I like to pass these things along to him too, because the good news is he does have an open mind, and a willingness to learn and to digest things and stuff like that. And so I was talking about this kind of stuff this morning as well with him. I thought it was pretty cool. He was really receptive, which is always a great thing. Um, but yeah, it's really funny. I guess we could go many places with this whole entire topic and give many many examples. But everybody out there that is listening to this will know exactly what we're talking about, especially if they start to visualize their own experiences and cut that solution off right when it, or cut that problem off right away and start looking for an immediate solution, because that's what's really going to change everything. You know, I remember,
And
my
we,
dad actually did teach me one thing, one good thing that I do remember. If you're going to do something right, if you do something right the first time, you don't have to keep going back and doing it over and over and over, right? So it's almost kind of the same concept of finding the solution, Um, so pretty cool.
yeah, it's training the mind not to entertain that something's wrong. Usually, if we feel like there's something wrong with us, we're going to find something wrong out in the world. So then when we go back and we realize that we are exactly as God made us, and that we're just simply living the life to learn the lessons that we're supposed to learn, then, um, you know, we can choose to be happy and go along with that without interfering with, arguing with the reality, pointing out something wrong. So the work is always on the inside for each individual person.
Hmm.
And it's just a blessing to be able to live, free in a forgiven mind, because it really changes everything. Your mind has so much energy to create, has so much energy to do art projects. It has so much energy to love, for instance. There's so much energy to do other things and really connect to people in the present moment, when it's not, making up stories about people or carrying stories about people. So,
Absolutely.
but we have to correct the mind, and the mind is out to being servant to the heart, servant to God, rather than running amok with its own ideas about things. Like we don't need to compare ourselves to anybody. I mean, nobody is like us. We're not like anybody. We're all human, but we each have our own vibrational code that's going to take us where we're going to go.
Hmm.
Somehow we got to let go of, in a society of, where do we finally get to a point as collective where we recognize that everybody's learning? Like, it's been interesting to put my videos out there online, because generally people want to learn and want to grow from it. But it's amazing when one person comes out of left field and starts to, go on the attack, rather than go, oh, this just isn't for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, listen, there's always going to be those people, but that's okay. It's like, okay, well, I understand if it's not for you, But the good news is, you can just keep on swiping up. If it's not for you, no big deal.
And in a weird way, sometimes when I've had people, like the other day, I had this guy say, "You need to get off Instagram, you freak." It's just a comment on one of my videos, and it is jarring to my system. I mean, it's, wow, I was reading the comments, and then it was like, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit with his comment for a minute, and I'm gonna see, why did it touch me. Maybe there's some truth. Maybe he picked up on something. It's time for me to take a break from
Or
whoever
can
that guy was. Like, he was probably not. He just probably was like, man, get off. It's time for you to get off. And so generally, I've had tremendous amount of people contact me every day saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. So I think both are true, and integration is important. I grew 10,000 viewers in 4.5 weeks on Instagram. The thing just went kind of in it. Boy, I could get on a run and I could have fun with that, and I could play with it as much as I can to see how many. But like, what? I've never made a plan for how this all works. I was just a guy that wrote a book because I couldn't help it. Every day while I was writing the book, I went out in the wilderness before I wrote and collected heart rocks, put them in trees. And then I wrote the book, and I forgot all about I forgot all about social media for whatever length of time that was. And then when it was over, I had all this time in the morning and during the day writing. Like, what wants to happen now? And I just started to do a couple of videos on the side of the trail. Inspiration hit me,
Mhm.
and it just kind of snowballed on the whole thing. And I don't know. I just want to integrate this incredible experience of writing a book, really getting married in the last year. My anniversary's next week. We just got a new puppy. I just got a new job. And I'm going to do a little summer vacation and just go enjoy life for a while and not think about checking the social media, because I'm just as susceptible as the rest of us. I mean, I've dealt with addiction in my life. I started to recognize that I was getting a little bit too involved in it. It's never been my thing, checking numbers. Spirituality is not a popularity contest, but
Yeah.
roller coaster rides are fun.
Yeah.
But it's time to get off that roller coaster ride and go find something else to do with this energy and kind of just let it be for a while.
There you go.
And I
Yeah.
don't even know
Yeah.
how long that's going to be. Maybe it's just me and you doing a podcast every now and again while I integrate, in this whole situation. And, or maybe I come back to it in a month. I don't know. You can't know what's like if you go do medicine with the shaman, you know, it's not like you can make plans for the next day, or you don't even know what your life's going to be like. You might not even know that, but you go take
Right.
the medicine. You go take the medicine, and your life changes, and like everything you planned before that just goes poof, and some new thing happens. So for me, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like I went on a shamanic journey to move to Sedona and to do what I've been doing, and the books came out, and all kinds of other artwork came out, and it was new. A lot of it was new to me. And so I am going to take some integration time, and I'm going to encourage the people who've been following me and watching my videos that there's a story there. There's plenty of data there. I have published plenty of material for anybody to gain tremendously in their life. But right now, I want to make sure that I'm the correct steward for the mission that I've been giving. And being the correct steward means, am I seeing my mission correctly, or am I letting some tethers of my older self that I've outgrown sort of secretly run the situation behind the scene? And it's good to self check and go, wait a minute. I got a couple of weird, strange comments online. The thing was getting a little bit weird. Yes, my intention has always been pure, just like it has been with every project in my life. And yes, I'm human. I'm prone to making lots of mistakes. And also, rest and reorientation is sometimes the most valuable thing you can do. And
Yeah.
I met somebody on the bus the other day. He knew me from social media, and people were asking me, like, how far do you want to take this thing? And I was just like, these aren't the right questions for wholeness.
Right.
How can we take and utilize social media for wholeness and not get addicted either to our own message or watching it or creating it or spending too much time with it, because it's still media. And I
Yeah.
feel like what's really important is that we return to the ancient way of eating good food and spending time in community and, slowing things down, writing handwritten letters, for instance, taking herbal medicines rather than pharmaceuticals. I mean, it's just so we can grow our own food. We slow that down and we get off of this craziness that tells us life's supposed to be a certain way. We're going to open our hearts and settle things down. So my question to you now is, and I'd like to hear your answer, is are we headed for I don't like to use the word catastrophe, but are we going to have a, like, how do you think we'll get the message and just change and grow into something before it gets too late? Or do you think that this, where this thing, what does it feel like for you? Like, where are we going? How does this thing play out over the next, let's just say, 5 years?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and I've spent a lot of time actually even contemplating these things myself. If you'd asked me 7 or 8 years ago, I would have to say my thoughts and my feelings were pretty on point. Um, Especially where we are right now, especially with AI and everything else coming into the picture. Like there's so many things, there's so many perspectives, so many aspects of all this, everything that's going on right now. I think personally, it's really up to us. It all starts with us, right? It all really starts inside of ourselves. And we have a choice to make. Everybody. Everybody has a choice to make. Are you going to be a part of the problem, or are you going to be a part of that solution? And you
Good
know,
come back around to the topic, my brother. That's good. So
well, it's so
seriously,
true though.
that's what we're being faced with right now. Am I going to join a fear-based, scarce reaction to what's going on, or am I going to choose love?
Yes, absolutely, and that's the thing. And I'm a fan of many things, right? But like, all right, so just to put things into perspective, like you said, are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Okay, cool. Well, here's the thing, guys. We know all these things are happening externally, okay? But what can you single handedly do about it? The answer is nothing. The only thing that you can do is change yourself, change the internal, right? Not only that, but if you really are focused a little bit on the outside, you know what else you can do? You can stop feeding these things, right? And come up with an alternate system. And with
Yeah,
that being
yeah.
said, you know, like they always say, the revolution won't be televised, you know but that's so true though, because guess what, the reality is, like, we're just going to go ahead, because I'm in the crypto space too. There's a lot of problems in that space, but what people are not understanding right now is the bigger picture. Like, all these people that are into these things right now, which myself included, but I've shifted in direction. Like, they're all about decentralization, right? But none of it's decentralized unless it's actually private. And the thing about that is so you have a war inside of this whole system of, okay, cool. What is really trying to be accomplished is they're trying to rip off all your data and all these things and take away more of your freedoms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Okay, cool. Now, what's the solution? The solution is privacy in that matter, right? So it's a solution that they can't see. It's a solution that they can't track or trace, right?
I mean,
Um,
I think that's the biggest truth there it is. They're not even in the right mindset or the frame of mind to see the correct solution.
right, right, right. And the beautiful part about that is in privacy, the revolution is actually silent. Nobody says much, you know, but because they know they actually have a solution, instead of keep focusing on all the external stuff. Oh, this. Like, no, man. Like, just get to the solution, find a solution, live your life, right? Like, that's all we really have to do is just get to that solution. And, so really, I guess, sorry about the rant, but, uh, in all honesty, I guess at the end of the day is it all starts with us. So just go internal, whatever you feel that you have to do, take those measures, take those things, be the change that you want to see, you know, like, because you can't expect this world to externally change and you stay the same. You have to change before you can start seeing all those reflections on the outside change.
And
So
there's no way to cheat. There's no way to cheat. You can't fake your awakening. You can't fake your compassion. You can't fake your enlightenment. You can't fake it. It's electromagnetic field that you carry. It's
mhm.
neutrality. It's just like, and you're not proving it to anybody. You don't care what anybody even thinks of it, but it will always reflect to you where you're out of alignment if you want to pay attention to it. And for that, it's a great blessing, this consciousness that we have. Most people are judging the thing and judging themselves and judging other people, and
Yeah.
they've blinded themselves to it. But the
Mhm.
solution is the present moment. And the more people that get in the present moment, then all of a sudden the structures that are built, the ways we exchange, the ways that we offer, the ways that we heal, how we grow food, everything changes in the next space. And I feel like we're coming closer and closer to where there's going to be enough souls on this planet that are in the present moment, that it is going to change the entire collective reality. And that's where we're moving to. And I've been there a few times, you know. I've changed my frequency and entered in an entirely different universe in the same building that, you know, I'd been in before or had inhabited, you know. And it was just like moments later, all of a sudden, like all the characters changed because my vibration came down to the collectively agreed upon level. I'll give you an example. I've been in the mountains. I've been in the mountains for like, I don't know, 10 days or something, Sierras. I like to go backpack and climb Mount Whitney's biggest mountain out there. Anyway, this is about 10 years ago, 12 years ago. I was driving back from that. I didn't realize I'd been in the mountain. I'd had such an unbelievable experience out there that I had shifted my vibration. I walked into this casino and it was just, God, it was perfect. It was so beautiful. And this roulette table open. This man smiled at me, and I walked over there, and he started spinning black 11s, and I started winning money like crazy. And I had no money when I walked in. I had enough money to get to California, but I didn't have enough money to get back to Colorado. So all on the mountain, I knew this was a mission that I had to take to go to California with enough money and gas and food to get there, and not enough money to get home. And that getting home and letting the universe get me home was the lesson. I just didn't know how it was going to happen, but I had to do it. So I'm 48 now. This is probably when, I mean, I'm 58 now. It's probably when I was 45, 6, or 7, something like that. Anyway, I walk in this casino, start winning all this money. And I mean, the guy is like, he's got a polished suit on and he's so excited about his job and he's so courteous and the place is clean and it's gleaming. And it's just beautiful, you know. And then the pit boss comes over and starts talking to the guy that's spinning the roulette wheel. And I just noticed kind of like a cock in his head, like a little shift like that. And it was just like in the Matrix. It's like all of a sudden Mr. Smith has entered the premises. And my vibration fell down. And I saw this old man that had been spinning roulette for 40 years, hunched over, cigarette stains on his fingers. The place was like the last stop casino. It was like almost going back into the Wild West. And I couldn't win anything after that. And I took the remaining money, walked out, and had enough money to get home. But there's another reality for all of us. It's difficult to hold your vibration there as a solo singular person because of the Mr. Smiths, the people that are in the Matrix, the ordinary world. I don't think they're looking for us necessarily. They're just designed to protect assets. And when assets start flying out the door, somebody's beat the system, they change the system. That's how crooked it is. It just shows up for us. That's what I got to see. So then we've got an opportunity, each one of us, to join with, like me and you and my wife and people online and people in groups and taking classes and going to concerts and festivals and doing whatever it takes to get more and more people in groups of people that are in a higher vibration. And that group of people, as they begin to vibrate on higher levels, will begin in earnest the ascension process, and will not ascend in a place where we can get knocked out. We'll ascend beyond the level of where it can go wrong. We'll just all our present moment awareness, our vibration will agree on a new reality for us that suits us and suits the life that our hearts want to live, because we will have let go of all our ideas about what it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. That's it's a beautiful explanation of all of it, really. I mean, because that's exactly what it is. Because like you're right. Like we have to keep the frequency high. Like we can't sit there and you know be lowering our vibration on stuff that especially that doesn't even really matter.
I mean, let's just
Um,
rattle them off for a second, right? Watching the news, getting involved in any kind of pornography, you know, any addiction, alcoholism, anything like that. Like we are being purified of all of those things, because where we're going, we don't have a split mind anymore that has conflicting thoughts in it. We are joining a unified mind that has no conflict. But if you have no conflict, addiction can't exist, scarcity can't exist, wars can't exist, all of this thing. And now everything in the one is working for itself towards the one. And it's not something we can imagine. We don't have to sacrifice and give up anything to go there, but we have to leave everything behind.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, no, we do. Like, but and that's a process in itself too. You know,
Yeah.
that's a process in itself too. Like that,
It's
but that's why they call it a journey.
a
Because that's
lesson in
exactly what it is.
non-detachment. No.
Yeah, and that when your frequency is lower, that can be a little bit of a challenge, right? It can
Oh
be a
my
little bit
gosh.
of a challenge.
I mean, that's where disease starts to go, like this place we're talking about, high frequency. You can't create disease when the body is free of shame. My last video was about shame. It's talking about how I was involved in a sexual engagement when I was 11, 12, and 13 years old. And, like the shame that I carried with that was just keeping me asleep. But once you forgive and once you let go and once you accept that what happened just to wake your ass up, it just happened. It just happened. But it takes real discipline and time to train the mind and open the heart to relieve all the grievances and all the ways that things can go sideways and sour. And my distorted thinking that I had as a young man based on this entire experience that happened against my will, so to speak, just colored every choice that I made, every single one. So people ask me, did you miscreate with sex and drugs and alcohol and all that? I was like, yeah, I couldn't see anything but miscreation. And most people are like that in the world. And that's why even on the corporate level, in the church level, in every level, everything, everywhere, people are operating from a broken mind. And we have to stop making people wrong for this. We have to stop. We say, no, that when they came into a broken world, we taught them the broken system so we could take advantage of them. And now they're stealing, so we're going to throw them in jail. Come on. I mean, this is so old and so boring and it's tragic. And so anyway, you wake up and you realize, oh my God, we're all miscreation. And so the only thing I can do, much to your point earlier, is to get myself out of miscreation mode and into creation mode. And what does that mean? That means I'm following the voice, the intuition, and I'm giving my will over to God. And I don't care how you want to look at it, mathematically, metaphysically, through the Christian church, through the Kabbalah, through any of practices of Zen. It doesn't matter, because it all leads to the same place. All pathways, all roadways, all highways, all streams flow back to the single stream. All the energy goes back to one source, the single stream. All the tributaries of whatever everybody's experience is, none of it was right, none of it was wrong. It was individually scripted and given to each one of us to go on a journey so that we could relieve ourselves of the blame and the shame and the scarcity and all unite as one. All right.
Absolutely.
That's all I got time for.
All right, all right. No worries, no worries. We can
That
we
was a
can
great
definitely
hour, dude. That was an awesome hour. We
absolutely.
could do this on and on and on. We could talk, and I'm so glad I got to ask you that question. I got to hear your answer, and we want to do some more of this. So let's just send me the stuff when it's done, and we'll do this again when it's time. And thanks for listening, everybody. How much fun this was! My goodness.